Well, hello, my darling. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever it is that you find yourself. Excuse the general less than polished look, but I just got done with my workout and I was noodling on this idea all the way through. So I wanted to bring it to you as soon as I got done before it was diluted through overthinking or whatever. Even as a coach for many years and founder of her own coaching practice, I still have these tendencies to overthink, to procrastinate, to want to lean into perfectionism with the things that I do because I care so deeply, right? So I have to kind of gaslight myself sometimes and trick myself into doing the things immediately when I think of it so that I don't get stuck in that place of inaction. So everything that I bring to you in these coaching corners every week, I want you to understand that they are my lived experience. This is my work in practice. I'm never sitting here as the perfect person who's got it all figured out, trying to teach you how to have it all figured out. I'm simply a woman who's on her own growth journey, who's determined and convicted to help other women on that same path, knowing that we're not required to be perfect. Us reaching our levels of success, whatever that looks like for you, doesn't need us to be perfect. It needs us to be in process, right? Taking one step after the other, catching ourselves in those moments where we do want to shrink or we do want to make excuses, we do want to negotiate with ourselves and do the damn thing anyway. That's what these conversations are for. So with that being said, what I have been kind of thinking about all the way through my workout, like I said, was why us high performing women struggle with boundaries so much and how to freaking fix that. Because what I know to be true is that women in general struggle with setting boundaries, and not only setting boundaries, but actually upholding the boundaries that they do then have the guts to set. And another thing that I know to be true from my own experience of building 3 businesses and healing my marriage and losing a significant amount of body weight and healing my relationship with myself has been boundaries is an absolute necessity. Boundaries are a requirement for your growth. They're a requirement for protecting your peace. They're a requirement for your self-care. They're a requirement for you being able to do all the things that are on your heart to do to live the extraordinary quality of life that you want to live. So why do we struggle so much with setting boundaries? I've got a couple of ideas about this, a couple of key kind of concepts that I teach my clients, as well as the things that I've noticed through those coaching conversations and in coaching my group coaching clients, and in having conversations on a daily basis, in, building out our podcast and being here on YouTube and having conversations on social media. Like, I am in constant conversation with women who want something extraordinary for their life, but there's something that's in the way. This is the constant theme of the conversations that I'm in. And so what I notice about our lack of kind of conviction about setting the necessary boundaries is it falls into a couple of things. Number one, women really struggle with trying to hold the expectations of all that they're supposed to be and the desire for all that they want to be. And so knowing that you have a desire for everything that you want your life to be and all the work that it's going to take for you to get there, you then struggle with, but I have to be all of these things for all of these people. I have to hold all of these roles and show up in all of these ways. And the two butt up against each other because of lack of time, lack of energy, lack of professional resources. They butt up, right? And the reason why the desire for all that we can be tends to fall short of the necessity or the mindset of all we're supposed to be is generational. It is a societal impact of the roles that women traditionally played. And unfortunately, our psyche has not caught up with the updating of all that women are in today's society. Like if you think back, you know, even in the 40s, in the 50s, like women have only been able to vote and have a credit card over like last 50, 60 years, right? So that's seriously still very new, this role that women have of independence and independent function outside of their family. It's still a very new idea in our society. So our brains have constantly been wired, you know, back in a Neanderthal era, our brains were wired to survive and to be the caretaker, right? To be the caretaker of the tribe, to be the caretaker of the children, to be the caretaker of our significant other. And if you are of the religious persuasion, then Eve was literally created out of Adam's rib, right? Adam was first, Eve was created out of his rib. So women have had this lower on the totem pole role in society, in ethos, in political ethos, in religious ethos, in just how we're perceived in general, right? So if you take all of that and then start thinking about the audacity to even think about setting boundaries against all of those perceptions or expectations, you can understand why it's something that's so hard for us to rewire, because our biology is literally been created, it's literally evolved into women take care of others. And how we kind of bastardize that sometimes is we attach our worth and our value to our ability to take care of others. And so by setting boundaries that force almost others to be able to take care of themselves in certain scenarios, so that it's not all on us, that goes against our biological wiring. So there's a reason why we struggle so much with that. And when I say it goes against our biological wiring, I want you to understand that this is like psychological, and not even, it's what our society was based upon. The functioning of our society had this as a foundation, right? Men were the providers, women were the caregivers. Men were the providers, women were the caregivers. And so it's not that we're trying to push against something that's wrong. When I say you're going against your biological wiring, sometimes that can sound like, oh, so I shouldn't be doing that then. No. Because our society is no longer set up that way. If you think about that, in what environment, if you think about your town that you live in, your immediate community, is it still true that a household can survive on one wage alone? The state of our socio-ecological climate, the way in which politics and even just the, what's the word that I'm looking for? Inflation and all of that are going, we can no longer survive as a family. If there's a family of 3, even if it's just you and your significant other, your household cannot run off of one salary alone for the most part, right? In most communities. And so this idea that men are the caregiver, men are the provider and women are the caregiver, it no longer applies to how our society actually functions on a day-to-day basis. Now we need 2 working income, right? We need, I don't know why I can't speak today. We need 2 people bringing an income in order for us to pay the bills, pay the mortgage, feed ourselves, feed the children, have our clothes, have some experiences that we want to enjoy. We need more income that is beyond what a single person is able to bring in on the most part, for the most part, right? There's obviously outliers and outliers and exceptions to the rule, right? But if you think about it from that perspective, men no longer have the luxury, and I say that in a way of just it being tied up in a bow and just very neat, right? No longer have that of I am the provider and women are the caregiver, because now both are providing. Both parties, both members of the family, heads of the family, need to provide. But women still have the expectation of being the caregiver. One of the things that low-key drives me crazy, I was in a coaching conversation with one of my clients the other day, and she brought this up, and she was like, I get so mad when people say, oh, like, where are the kids or whatever? And she's like, oh, with their dad. And they, oh, he's babysitting. And she's like, no, he's not babysitting, he's being their father. And it's one of the things that drives me crazy too in society, that even in the way that we speak, the way we perceive things, if a man is looking after his children, he's babysitting. No, he's being a father and he's taking care of his children. In the same way as if the mother was with them, she's not babysitting, is she? She's being the mother and she's taking care of her children. It's the same thing. And the way our society now functions, that needs to be the expectation, that because both parties are providing for the family, both parties are bringing an income to the family, both parties are contributing in how the family survives, both parties equally should be responsible for caregiving, right? So I say all of that to say, and just to outline and underscore just how different our societal foundation is, the architecture is nowadays, but the expectation hasn't necessarily caught up for the role of women. And so we find it so difficult to set boundaries because that is the expectation. We're still supposed to do all of these things. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is what I alluded to earlier, that our value and our worth is tied to our ability to take care of others. And so when it's required that you set a boundary that puts the onus on them to take care of themselves, to figure it out, go and find all the reasons why this won't work before you come to me and tell me it won't work. And bonus points if you find one solution that will work, and bring that to me and we'll figure it out. Like when we start setting those kinds of boundaries in our work environments, in our homes, in our relationships, where we are no longer responsible for somebody else's well-being and welfare, we start to attach, like there's this counterbalance or this counter argument that's going on subconsciously or even consciously, where we're like, oh, but my job is to make sure that they're okay. My pull and my desire is to make sure that they're taken care of. And so you've got this back and forth that's happening. Your subconscious mind, or even your latent kind of biological architecture, is fighting against what you know is required of you. You know that you can't do all the things. You know that you can't be all the things. But when you try and set that boundary, all of this noise is like, but I'm still supposed to, I still want to make sure that they're taken care of. So, and you attach your value and your worth, how good you are as a human and how worthy you are in the eyes of others, to your ability to help them figure it out, right? So that's the two main things. And there's lots of other reasons why I think we struggle to set boundaries. There could be some generational trauma that's in your line. There could be you learned from your mother perhaps, and the other significant caregiver in your childhood, that's what you did. You sacrificed to make sure everybody else was okay. And that's what you brought into your identity today, as that's what makes a good parent, that's what makes a good boss, that's what makes a good wife, that's what makes a great friend. You've kind of bastardized that example and turned it into what you should do. You've attached the identity of good wife, good friend, good mother, good spouse to your ability to be all the things for them, right? So there's lots of nuances and lots of things that go into this. But those main 2 points that I made about the societal expectations and how that has not yet caught up with the reality of today, and two, your that kind of push-pull you have of the need to set boundaries, but then that old wiring is still taking hold. The only way to fix that is by your shift in identity. I talk about identity a lot. It's a foundational piece of my coaching practice. It's a foundational piece of what I do, what I bring to the table with my coaching relationships, because my practice or my method of coaching is identity-led. I work on identity-led coaching, which means, that everything I bring you is from my own lived experience. Everything that I continue to evolve into is because of my obsession with my own growth and my own healing, my own evolution and my own transcendence, right? So my whole coaching practice is around my shift in identity being able to be the thing that can help you shift yours, because it's not coming from a theoretical place. Do you understand? So identity is key when it comes to setting boundaries. And that might sound like, really? I have to do all of that deep work? Anthony Trucks calls it dark work. He calls it the work that you have to do in the dark in order for you to shine in the light. And his work is heavily built on identity. So you might think that seems like a lot to go through all of that and do that deep work in order to just be like, okay, I don't answer emails after 7 p.m. Like, that might seem like a lot and a big commitment. But honestly, when it comes to your ability to not only set boundaries that are based around protecting your own energy, protecting your own time, protecting your peace, and uphold the ones that you set, you have to shift how you fundamentally perceive yourself. Are you still, or do you still hold the expectation of yourself that you are all the things to all the people? And if you do not show up in all of these areas, in all of these ways, then you suck and there's something wrong with you and they will hate you and nothing good will ever happen to you. Because that's the underlying message that so many of us women carry, especially when we're high performing. And I know you're high performing because you're here and you're listening to conversations like this. High performing and high achieving are two fundamentally different things, in my opinion. High achieving, you're obviously hitting the goals, doing all the things, you're like up there with the best of the best achieving, right? High performing is in my opinion, irrespective of result. It's how you show up in your life, the intention that you have in the things that you do, the energy that you bring to the things that you do, the presence that you have, the desire that you have in your life for better. And that is on the path to high achieving, right? But you don't have to be high achieving to be high performing. You can be high performing working towards your high achievement. Does that make sense? I just wanted to clarify that. So for us high achieving women, we have to understand that we have to start seeing ourselves differently. High performing women, we have to understand that we have to start seeing ourselves differently. You have to relate to yourself differently. You have to perceive yourself differently. And that depends upon your relationship with yourself, quite honestly. If you continue to see yourself as only worthy, only valuable, you will only be loved if you do these things for these people in this specific way, then human beings are wired to be safe, right? To feel safe, to feel like we belong. And so you're always going to fall back to that default setting. And I'm not saying that you have to be okay, like being a lone ranger and risk all your relationships in order to function. No. High performing means doing all the things and maintaining good quality of relationships and your health and your well-being. That's my opinion. That's the opinion of very many top coaches in this field, is that you're not high performing if you're doing all the things at the detriment of your health and your relationships. It means keeping those whilst being intentional in how you show up. And so this isn't about screw them, like I'm going out Lone Ranger and I'm going to do the things because they won't respect my boundaries. No, it's about understanding that in order for you to bring your best, to be your best, to feel your best, to function at your best, there are certain things that you cannot tolerate anymore. There's certain things that you can no longer tolerate. And so I want you to identify what some of those things may be. How you're showing up in your relationships right now, how you're showing up in your work environment, how you're showing up for yourself. What are some boundaries that are necessary, you identify are necessary for you to set in order for you to protect your energy, protect your time, protect the quality of your relationships, and protect your well-being? I would love it if you would pause this or do this after we're done here and write those things down. What can you no longer tolerate? What can no longer be, oh, it's okay, I'll just do it. What is getting in the way of you truly standing in extraordinary presence for your life? From a work standpoint, from a relational standpoint, and from your health and your treatment of yourself standpoint. I want you to put it in those 3 buckets, all right? So you're shifting your identity, how you relate to yourself, is key to all of this. It fixes it. And I don't necessarily like to say fix because I don't think any of us are broken. But when it comes to this identity piece, how you perceive yourself and what that means for the boundaries that are necessary for you to set in your life, you have to start seeing yourself differently. Your relationship with yourself can no longer rely on how valuable you are to them, on what they say about you, what they think about you. Your essence, your conviction, your belief in who you are, how special you are, how extraordinary you are, what you bring to the table has to be here. It cannot come from external influence. It has to be here. You have to know your worth. You have to know your value. You have to be so convicted about your presence and your intention and your heart and that you're a good person. You deserve good things to happen to you. You have to know that and be rooted in that. And then when you receive validation from the outside, it's like, oh, that's nice, but it doesn't form how you view yourself. Does that make sense? You have to start seeing yourself differently. Your identity has to shift. You have to become a woman who is so convicted about her worth, her value, and who she is, what she brings to the table, the energy she walks in, the intentionality that she has, that her heart is good. You have to know that and set boundaries that, 1, protect that, but 2, are no longer allowing certain things to happen in order to feel that. Does that make sense? Because a lot of the time our boundary setting falls away because we seek that validation out there. And so if I do that thing that person asked me to do, even though I don't have the time, if I say yes to that thing that person asked me to do, even though I don't want to do it, if I take care of that particular situation, even though it's not mine to take care of, it's not my responsibility, then they will see me in a good way. Then I will be liked. Then I will be valued. Then my worth is solidified. If we continue to set boundaries or not have boundaries based on that, then you're going to continue to leak your energy. And energy leakage, if that's a word, is fundamentally destructive to your growth, your well-being, and your sense of self. So please do this exercise. Write down in those 3 buckets, your work, your relationships, and your health, which boundaries need to be set, where it is that you're leaking energy right now, and the boundaries that need to be set in order for you to protect who you are becoming, the woman that can build the extraordinary quality of life that you want to build. Deal? I hope you will do that. And I would love it if you would share with me what you took away from that exercise, what you took away from this. Find me on Instagram, send me an email, comment here. I'd be more than happy to converse about this stuff because this is what brings me so much joy is to be on this path with you and giving you these little nuggets that make you perceive yourself a little bit differently so that you can fully step into the life and the woman that you were created to be. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to the channel. I would love that. If it moves you, feel free to share this episode of our Coaching Corner. We are shifting into one coaching session per month from February onwards. So this is our last one on a weekly basis. The reason for that will become clear in the next week or so. Hopefully I've got a big announcement to make. So we will be shifting to one coaching corner per month that is going to be stacked with value, stacked with deeper insights and more experiences as my life experience is evolving, as my exposure and expertise in various areas evolves. I'll be able to bring you more value. So I hope that you will continue to be along for the ride. Until next time, have a great day.